You're listening to the Unreasonable Fridays Podcast Network.
Yeah. It looks like they're setting up Reed Richards to be the villain, like in a bit of a twist. Like they're gonna, like, you know, they announced Doctor Doom, but Doctor Doom is not gonna be the villain of the phase. I think it's gonna be Reed Richards. It just makes the most sense. So, and also Reed Richards is so insufferable. He'd be a perfect villain, and then being played by Pedro Pascal would be absolutely sensational. So. That's what made him as Joel so good, because Joel has to communicate both intense love for his family and the willingness to kill literally any other human on Earth that isn't related to him.
Reed Richards is a piece of shit.
Right.
So
right, he's a great choice, right? In the Fantastic Four movie, it looks like they're in another timeline, like they don't exist with us. So. So yeah, it's, if anyone, and I appreciate it, like if anyone's going to fuck everything up, it'll be Reed Richards trying to do a thing, and
which he does.
That's his thing
all the time.
And it's a little interesting because like it's not like Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange is like he'll hear out any idea and then get everything, and then get all the toys back on the shelf, and that's his way. Reed Richards feels very principled in what he does, which makes him worse. And he's a blowhard, and he is very principled in his way. He's just the whitest man, and it's gonna be great.
No, he is the symbol of white male father figure.
Right. Even though he's wildly out of his depth and is now in no way nurturing in any meaningful way at all. And
I said what I said.
Oh. I see.
I said what I said.
That was loaded. That's loaded commentary.
Forgive me. I've been reading all about masculinity, femininity, and the patriarchy today.
Oh, listen.
Instead of doing my fucking homework.
If you have anything to pass along, by all means. I always love reading about that.
This was all more stuff that you're familiar with. It was a lot of stuff that, a lot of stuff that is based in like Hooks and Freddy, and a few others.
Right.
Where it's also it's basically talking about how with systemic oppression, it leaves people with either being forced into one of two roles, which is the oppressor or the oppressed.
Right.
And so because of this, I think it was a Wall Street Journal that had posted an article written by a teenage boy who's talking about like, yeah, kids don't know what, like they're going to these figures like Tate and all these, and Joe Rogan and all these others, because they're offering easy answers for questions about masculinity.
Right.
And, you know, of course, like this has got folks in a thing,
right.
But I'm like, okay, but if people had answers for them,
right,
like if there were trusted people around them who could help them navigate these, they wouldn't be looking for the Tates and Joe Rogans.
Nope, not at all.
I'm like, and so people are like, you know, we can't just like, you know, but again, so and one of the things is too is that societally, because again, oppression is systemic. This is not an individual by individual basis. It is systemic. It is permeated in everything. The messaging around masculinity makes growing up very confusing, just as it makes concepts of femininity very confusing. What is masculinity? There's no answer. It literally, if you are a man and you do anything, you are performing masculinity. That's it. That's it.
Right.
There is no right or wrong way. Now, don't be a dick, but you know, what is a dick is all couched in like moral ethics, and those are differing from person to person. So you have like, you know, patriarchy is our systemic. We all live under patriarchy, right? So there's a lot of messaging, and teenage boys and girls, and teenagers are getting a lot of all of this mixed messaging, not just in the home, but like outside of the home. And unless they have trusted figures consistently helping them navigate all of that messaging, they're gonna go for, they're going to try and find people to help them with that messaging. And like it just I'm also gonna say, like, you also can't predict, like, as a parent, if you are going to maintain to your child as like the trusted voice. They may just decide that your authoritative voice is not the voice they want to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And that is also a thing. So I think a lot of people are like missing that part of it. And so that's where like the conversation was. So as I was saying, Reed Richards is a quintessential American white collar father.
Go ahead, stand up, stand up, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
Like, I feel like we should end the show. Like, I think we've sufficiently, like, I've officially think we've done, like, I don't know if there's any, I don't know if there's.
I mean, you could just cut this entire part and put it at the end of the show.
I mean, that was overwhelmingly, like, insightful, and you started and you brought all the way back around town, and we're back at Reed Richards being the quintessential white father.
I think my favorite part too is that like masculinity, especially under patriarchal society, is couched in what femininity is not, and so you have to heavily police femininity.
Yes.
And you have to state that, but again, femininity also doesn't hold up. By the way,
No.
does not hold up. You cannot. And so like the more loose that femininity gets, like it makes what is masculinity even more fraught.
Yeah, I know. The men.
They don't know what to do.
Men TM are struggling because there's no point. There's no point. There's no springboard into masculinity TM. It's all getting wobbly and mushy now, and there's no place for them to jump off to. And as a result,
Yeah, so they're going to easy. They're going to easy answers.
And also, and the panicked responses, but that's neither here. That's not directly related to what you're talking about, so I'll save it. But there are panicked responses to what is not, to now what is femininity, in order to like frantically create a platform for masculinity to stand to exist on, and it's just like we are now how men view women at all is like this panic. Like the concept of femininity, the concept of all of that is driving men into a panic. And now whenever there is a femme of any kind now, like there is a general panic and confusion now at the sight of any femme, any of them.
And yeah, I mean, a lot of the anti-queerness is very much a fear of femininity.
Yes, but now it's like as femininity has expanded, the concept of it has expanded. It shrunk what masculinity is, and now the fellas are. Whew.
They're having a time, and they are not having it well, and they are making it all of our problems.
Holy shit!
All of our problems.
There was a picture of a volleyball player, and to be blunt, she had a fat pussy. And the way these fellas were arguing over whether that was a pussy or anything else for hundreds of comments, great gnashing of teeth, confusion, hair was being pulled out, monocles were being produced, fists were flung in the parliament.
Listen, there is a man out there who is appreciating that fatness.
Of course, because we all do the fat. Here's the deal.
Or a lady. There is a person out there, or persons thoroughly enjoying themselves.
In general, we like a juicy meatball as a populace. The fact that we're arguing about it is that, again, there's no springboard, so now masculinity itself is a panicked state of being. It's a panicked system of ideals now. It's like fraught with anxiety, and so
that's why these bitches are trying to have AI girlfriends.
oh boy.
Sorry. Person who screams can handle real relationships is trying to and maintain real friendships is proposing AI friendships on Facebook. That's Zuckerberg.
Ugh.
Because the average person only has 3 to 4 friends. Okay, yes, adults have usually 3 to 4 friends. That's fine. That's normal, actually. But saying gotta offload it into, but you could have 15 AI friends. You can have real AI friends.
You can have friends.
You don't need human friends. And I'm like, this man
Listen.
is somebody who is incapable of holding meaningful relationships in his life and does not know how.
Listen. He hasn't found his tribe. He won't find it now that he's
Ever.
He won't find it now given his position in life. There is a tribe for Zuckerberg, but he is pursuing ideals that are misaligned with who he is.
He thinks he's above those people, though.
Right, that's what I mean. Is he thinks the people who are his tribe, he thinks he's fundamentally above and shouldn't, and then he pursues these misaligned ideals, which is why he's like kowtowing to the president and like weirdly wearing a gold chain. Like a lot of things about him is just like he's trying to pursue this panicked ideal of masculinity.
I do not understand what that gold chain is about.
He's a bro. What do you mean you don't understand? The gold chain is for bros. He's a bro. What do you mean? He's a bro.
Bro.
Chains for.
I just wish that these men would stop making their midlife crisis our problem.
All crises of masculinity become everyone's problem because masculinity requires everyone else to hold it up. Literally all hands on deck. And the less hands that are interested, the more it falls over. And good luck to us. That's our show today, everybody. We were here for a short time, and not necessarily a good time. Because I'm kidding. There's a show.
We were here for a short time.
We're here for a short time and a bad time because society ain't it at the moment. We're here for a short time and a bad time. Many of us are dealing with the consequences of many people's actions and and ideologies, making their problems and their inadequacies and their anxieties our problems, whether we want to deal with it or not.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I'm your host, Aaron Van Freeman, but the actual host, the CEO, CFO, lead artist, social media maven, head architect, travel czar, they say social justice researcher.
You know what? I'll accept it.
Social
I will
justice
accept that one.
researchers, yeah. Cultural lead editor.
That was you this week. That's a flex role, and that was not me.
You're not the cultural lead editor?
Not today.
Yeah, you are. You were just talking about culture right now.
Yeah, but you're the one who set up all the cultural programming for the show, and I didn't look at any of it.
I post the links in the super secret Discord.
Yeah, congratulations! You're the editor this week.
I am. I know. Look at me coordinating shit.
Look at you coordinating shit.
Didn't realize I was coordinating anything. I was
You're today's show editor.
Hey, how about that? Well, congratulations to me.
Congratulations, Aaron.
Elise Bacon. Bacon, how are you?
You can't see I'm waving my hands.
Yeah. That's about right.
Are we not recording that whole?
Oh no, we were recording on audio, but not on video.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the sound test that just got out of hand because you touched on something that you were reading about that also I read about and observe and have observed.
That was your fault for bringing up Reed Richards.
Reed Richards is an all-time asshole, and if they are going to square up this phase with him, then it's perfect. And it also gives the multiverse an anchor, because one of the things is they introduced the concept of the multiverse, but there was no anchor. It was just things happening in the multiverse. Having Reed Richards meddling is a perfect reason for us to be going between dimensions, because Reed Richards meddling will ruin everything. He's a good anchor spot, and Reed Richards won't stop meddling. So you'd be like, hey, Doctor Strange is like, Doctor Strange fucks something up. You go, Doctor Strange, please. And he goes, all right. And then he spends the next hour, 2, 3, 4 hours. The adventure is him getting all the toys back on the shelf and getting everything back in the chest. Like, that's always his adventure. He's like, yeah, all right, this wasn't the best idea, but we'll roll it back. Reed Richards is so principled that he sees all of his ideas through to the end. And that is a good point. That is a good flashpoint for major conflict. Because the man won't stop unless you stop him. And this is, like I said, at any point, good Reed Richards, bad Reed Richards, the maker, anything. Any version of Reed Richards that exists. He won't stop until you make him stop.
Hey, isn't he literally the cause of the Second Civil War?
I believe it is the presence of the Phoenix Force causing issues. The presence of the Phoenix Force, I believe, is ignited the need to keep track of more of the superpowered people, specifically mutants, because at that time I believe there were more mutants than like cool people who have abilities and powers who got them, however. So it became a point of contention. Yeah, so it was kind of like that, but yeah. I would need to read that. I realize Civil War is so far in the rear view now that I would need to reread all of it.
Right, but there were 2.
Oh, there was a second one, yes, but the second one I know very, very little about. Second one was
I was wondering if he was the cop. Well, we'll have to. We will come back to this. We'll probably snag Roe or somebody.
We require further cultural research. Oh, we really should get
We
Roe.
need more comic book specialists. Friends who are comic book specialists who still listen to this show. Please send forth information.
Yeah, I believe Bacon is almost exclusively on Blue Sky. And I think Bacon, as of right now, is the best.
Listen. I am a text-based hoe. I was raised in the minds of web forums. I require text. And Blue Sky has given me early Twitter vibes, but meets tired millennial, and I am thriving.
Yeah. So where is? Let me see what that is. Let me go ahead and look you up here, because this is it right now. As we reconfigure, it is the Bacon at Blue Sky, thebacon.bsky.social. That is the Bacon. Bacon is your best bet because Bacon is on this shit for real, and that's cool. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But we'll both.
Aaron's working on it. Aaron's actually never been. Aaron's also a one platform type person, but it also takes him a long time to rev up on a platform.
So you know what happened is I lost my original Blue Sky account, and I think people are still going to it. Like, it exists, but I can't get them to delete it, and it's like contacting them is a hassle. So I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna pick that up again. So it's one of those things where the issue is so convoluted that the help is inadequate every time in piecemeal. And I've lost interest, so I need to get my 2 accounts either merged or one of them deleted and just focus on one. Because I think there's one that people are going to that is defunct because I got it and they let me sign up with an email that didn't exist because there was a typo, and they just let me cook. They didn't know any better.
Yeah, I would also just let the people that you know, that you can know, who you still interact with, hey, I'm over here.
Oh yeah, they do know.
This is my account.
Oh, they do know. But I think if you like look for me like one account, like it was 2 accounts, so you pick the one. You pick the one that makes the most sense if you just had to guess. So it's like I gotta get to the bottom of it. But it's also just general laziness. Yeah, it's just general laziness. So yeah, we will work on it. We are working on it right now.
I believe.
It's a show about video games, nerd shit, really. But I realize I don't like. I play games like I read books, but I don't track them. Like I don't make enough notes on them now. So like I was playing I was playing The Last of Us 2 to kind of because I wanted to play the game before I watched the show, and while episodes were accumulating, I tried the game, and it's a wildly dark game, and I played Sorry We're Closed, and that's my favorite game of the year. And there's so many smaller indie games that I played, and it's hard to keep track of them all. Like, and I'm like thinking about it, like what now I gotta go back and like I have to go back and dig through it because I know there are things that have been played, but it's becoming a bit of a blur. So I am working on it. I know you've been playing. What's the name of that really spectacularly free game? I forgot what it's called. The fashion game that I used to see playing when you're vibing with Final Fantasy.
Infinity Nikki.
Infinity Nikki.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm trapped in I am so it's like experiencing finals, but it's in video game form. So I have been playing Infinity Nikki, which is it's part of the Nikki series, which is a long run fashion based series. Very cute. It is published by Infold Games, which is a Chinese company. And also they also have like other games that such as Love and Deep Space, which is a semi-dating gacha game with a really nice heavy narrative. Infinity Nikki, also a gacha game, very free, so much free, could not be more free. There is so much free in this free to play game, and I'm positive I've talked about this game before, but it's so much fun. I love it. There's a massive update. It looks like that just came out. It looks like we're rounding out like the first major story arc, which I'm very excited about because I feel like we're going to be moving into an entirely new map soon. Because at the end of the part of, so there's like 1.0 has a whole narrative, right? And then there's like patches afterwards, and the patches after seem to be like, to me, moving into the closing up of this area, and they very much talked about other areas. So I'm very excited to see where we're gonna go. Again, so much free. Every event that they do they give you so much in-game currency. It's bonkers. You can very easily save up like your in-game currency, skip one event, and have enough currency to finish an event and a half, like of the gacha, without spending a dime. So it's just very accessible. It's also very cute. It's very cozy. It's got a lot of Super Mario Odyssey vibes to it. Also, there's some parts of it because it's an open world, but also a puzzle platformer and a fashion game. All your powers are dictated by like your outfits, which are extremely cute, by the way. Extremely fucking cute. So we have that. Final Fantasy is eating. Oh my god, holy shit. I can't talk about the main story because fucking Justin.
I mean, Justin's not listening, so it's perfectly fine for you to talk about it with.
He sneak listens sometimes, so I have to be careful.
No, you're affecting programming. You gotta play the game. There you go. That's
I've already yelled at him, but I can talk about the side content. So, the main story content, I need Justin to talk about. Absolutely, because there are some things that can only be talked about from a black and brown perspective, and I need that motherfucker here to talk with him about it. However, all of the side content is so fucking good. Everything is amazing. So we're in 7.2 right now. So we're in the second phase of the raid series, and even better than the first. So this entire raid series is based off of wrestling,
Yes.
and it's it's so devoid of the main storyline that the main storyline flat out tells you what the raid series is going to be. They're like, oh, by the way, there's this arena where we used to fight, where we used to hold fights, and we called it the Arcadian, and it's closed right now, but it'll be back up later. After the events of the main story quest, it literally opens back up. Like the game just says, by the way, the raid series is you're gonna be fighting in the Arcadian, and it's all wrestling based. Like, so you have different avenues of wrestling. There's so much fan service and call outs. Like, they have one of the wrestlers, people are like, I don't understand, and I had to be like, she's an exact representation of of Joshi wrestling. She is like perfect. And that's Honeybee Lovely. Love her. This second tier is again not disappointing. It's super great. We have
Oh wow,
the
she
return.
does. Sorry,
Huh?
I googled Honeybee Lovely. She is like I
Yes.
literally was just looking at. I was just looking at Stardom like this morning, and she nails it perfectly. Please continue. I'm sorry. She nails it.
Yes, no, I had to. It's so funny because I'm not like a big wrestling fan. I know very little about wrestling, but all of the information I know of osmosis about wrestling has me hyped to where I want to. I'm like, okay, I am going to work to try and make wrestling the sport I pay attention to,
Really?
and then maybe I can hang out with Deepalm.
Really? You're gonna care about wrestling on a deep
I'm
level.
trying so hard, but it's so hard for me to care about any visual thing.
I was about to say, I was like, there's a lot of watching. Wrestling is a lot of watching.
Yeah, but wrestling also has a thing where you can watch clips and read what happens
Yeah, I would almost say
in order to keep up.
yeah, wrestling is something that you would enjoy best live because it's good. It's community theater live, and when you're watching the show, even when you're watching it online, is a little bit lost unless you're kind of tuned into the community theater of it. I almost would want you to. They do have wrestling in Seattle.
Yes, no, we do. I have a friend who goes to like
Yeah.
the good stuff.
What's the name of the Seattle wrestling promotion? I forgot the name of the big one that's up there. I think it's
Yes, there's a big one up there that my friend goes to all the fucking
Yeah,
time.
Defy Wrestling. That's the biggest one. That begat a lot of AEW guys, and yeah, it's actually really popular. So yeah, you are near a hotbed of professional wrestling. Let me try it. Let me visit. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're into wrestling, like I said, I've been activated. I'm sorry when you said you were looking at it because I'm trying to figure out how to create the smoothest runway for you as someone who doesn't want to watch shit. But you know what I mean? So, go on, please continue. I'm sorry. Now my brain is churning. You must continue to talk to the people about the content.
Well, I also found out that a lot of like part of outside of like ADHD, and what I've also realized, some of this is like sensory overload and just like too much information is what's keeping me from watching stuff. Also, poverty. I'm fucking broke.
Right.
And I also hate ads. I hate ads. So like I can't use Hulu or Netflix. Also, Netflix really pissed me off. So I'm missing out on some stuff. One, because I can't afford it. Two, I don't like the company it's under to like wild degrees. And three, like I'm also experiencing a lot of like sensory issue information, like sensory fatigue related sensory problems when it comes to watching things.
No, I get it. Right. So then.
So
Okay. So then.
So I've been trying to like now that I'm in the I understand the problem. I'm like, okay, now I can work on maybe fixing this problem, but it's also not high on. It's also kind of backburnered. It's just not a high priority.
Right.
But I addressed the problem.
All right, cool. We'll talk about this,
Uh,
how to properly get wrestling set up for you. Because there are a lot of entry points to it, which is the best bit. But we got to get you set up just so, because, yeah, so that you can absorb the most while burning the least amount of energy.
Mm-hmm. And okay, so this raid tier has uh has 4 contenders because again, four fights always. Our first one we have Dancing Green, who is a Viera, which is like a bunny person in 14, and but very disco themed, very common rider. It's all 1970s up in here, baby. Like actually, uh, his outfit is like is really like his representation in the fight is very much disco Common Rider, which if you're familiar with Common Rider is just Common Rider. Like, what do you mean disco Common Rider? Common Rider is no, you're right. No, it. There was a lot of explanation about Japanese wrestling and Japanese content with this raid tier. The second one is Sugar Riot, who is a tiny Lalafell, who is an artist, but specifically is a graffiti artist,
Right.
and she uses. I How familiar are you with the Final Fantasy series?
I am. I always need my memory jogged because I haven't. Yeah. So I don't know how much we're counting from like when they abandoned the turn-based formula. So like after Final Fantasy, after Lightning Returns is when I sloughed off real bad.
Okay, but you would recognize monsters, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so dancing. So the thing is, what these warriors in the Arcadian are doing is they're basically mixing with monsters in the Final Fantasy universe to become like a super version of themselves using traits of those creatures, if that makes sense.
Oh, I totally get it.
Yeah. So Dancing Green is using the frog to disco and has disco frogs everywhere. Like actual like it was the probably the most non-problematic version of a caricature with an afro I'd seen. Like there's literally 1970s dressed frogs with afros moonwalking across the arena to mark unsafe territories. I'm more upset that the afros that they have on the frogs aren't in the game because they're less offensive than the one that you can have as a hairstyle. Actually upset. There's like actual texture, and I was just like, motherfuckers. For Sugar Riot, okay, you know the gelato pudding monsters?
Yeah.
She fuses with the gelato pudding monsters. So she herself is like very pudding-esque, but all of her stuff is just like all of her attacks are also gobs of paint and turning pudding monsters into other creatures.
Huh.
Yeah. By the way, that fight is killing raiders globally. It is destroying statics. It is ruining Party Finder. It is causing PTSD. So for people who have played Final Fantasy IX, there are these animals, friendly animals that you just come across randomly in the forest, and if you give them an item, they will give you something good. Like you get stuff from them. And one of them is this adorable little ram called a Yan. There's a cat called. There's just this. I can't remember what the cat's name is, but there's this weird cat, and when you encounter them, they go, "Give me Aether," and you give them an elixir.
Mm-hmm.
And then I forgot what they give you back, but like you keep feeding them elixirs every time that you see them.
Right.
I cannot remember what you get, but it's really good. You get really good shit from the cat.
All right.
And there's also like squirrels who again also give you stuff. And so all of these friendly, non-combative creatures in Final Fantasy IX are are in a phase of the Sugar Riot fight, and they're all trying to kill you. So usually when you're fighting extra enemies like this, it's called an adds phase, as in additional enemies.
Mm-hmm.
So this adds phase is nothing like we have ever seen in the game whatsoever. And there's so much fan art coming out of this because people are just stuck in there. They are dying and they are getting murdered by everything in this fight. It's very funny. It's also very frustrating when you have a party that you don't have all 8 people doing their job. But it's still also very funny. I've been sharing some of the artwork with Aaron. I don't know how Aaron, as a non-FF player, could describe them, but it's very hysterical.
There's something about that's the thing is I don't know if there is a universal understanding of a non-combatant creature that exists in the background of a game. Like, what is a universal understanding of it? Like, I don't think there is one.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But I do appreciate the community getting behind being murdered by innocent creatures in this context. Like, the community has gotten behind. There's so much artwork, so many RAMs, and so many combinations in so many ways, inspired by so many different violent scenes blowing up people playing Final Fantasy. And the community has rallied around the artwork, if not the encounter itself. So.
It's very like so in the context of the fight, the tanks which take all the damage to save all the squishy people from receiving damage, the tanks have to hold the ram that has shown up. There's some things that can happen, and the ram can, if things go wrong, get a damage increase. If that ram gets a damage increase, it one-shots every single player until everyone is dead. There's also another creature that specifically, once it spawns, binds one of the 2 healers into place and slow walks it like it's out of a horror film to that healer. And when it reaches the healer, instantly kills the healer.
That's terrifying. So you have to kill it before it's like it walks it down, like Michael
Yes.
Myers, and you have to get rid of it before it gets to the healer, or it kills it.
Yes.
Oh, that's so terrifying.
Yeah, if you've seen some of my clips where it all goes to chaos, and I'm just standing in the corner, unable to move.
That's terrifying.
I have literally been, like, actually in real life, literally screaming throughout all of this fight. I don't know why I'm healing again this tier. Yes, I do, because there's not enough apparently good healers, and I'm stuck here in horror. But it really is like a scene out of a horror movie where, like, the Jabberwocky is just going towards you, and, like, your party members are trying to stun it so that it stops walking, but stuns only last like 3 to 1 second. So it's just like a horror movie as it comes towards you, and it's not getting killed fast enough before it gets to you. I've had a few times where, like, it died directly in front of my little cartoon character. Just like, oh my god, no. Yeah. And then the third fight is spoiler, but it is the heal character from the first tier. Remember the one where I was showing that, like, he was doing actual, like, wrestling moves and with the green mist?
Yes.
Yeah, that one. He is back.
He's
he
evil now.
Has when I tell you that the narrative for this wrestling raid is also very wrestling themed.
Well, what happened? Why did he turn heel? I mean, I'm intrigued now.
Okay, so here's the thing. It turns out that all of the wrestlers who are using these monsters and they're fusing with these monsters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time they do that, they actually increase their risk of getting a permanent illness that
Mm-hmm.
that can transform them into mutate them into a like basically an abomination,
Oh.
and then they die.
But in the meantime, they while they are an abomination, they run up on you, and you got to deal with them before they die.
Yeah, well, that's I mean, like they go on a rampage.
Oh.
There's actually lore about it in other parts of the game where so essentially there was a lot of experimental testing that was done using they're called feral souls, using the souls of monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And so they found that, people could augment their strength using the forms of monsters so that they can use their abilities or use their abilities to augment their own.
Right.
And so that's what all of these fighters in the arena are doing. Is they're using these feral souls. But all of the people in the arena come from like poor backgrounds, and they're all raised by the president. And that's what they're doing is that they've earned money and their place, in society by fighting in the Arcadian. But they've also have to put on personas, like their wrestling personas, their performance
Mm-hmm.
to do so. And so the you come you as the player are like, okay, well, we're just going through this because we have a different goal in mind that I'm not going to tell you because it's linked to the main story.
Right.
And as you start fighting through, you just actually become friends with the wrestlers.
That's usually how wrestling goes. Yes.
Yeah, and they're like, and you partner with one of them after you beat her, Black Cat from the first one. She's like, you're cool. I'm just gonna help you. I'm gonna be your manager now.
Yep. That sounds like wrestling. That
Right.
does.
She also has an adorable baby sister who's a massive hacker and is just hacking through government files like it's nothing.
That also sounds like wrestling.
Right. No, exactly. It's very funny. And so, as you're going through the last fight, her sister who had gone completely missing years ago, shows up and is like demanding the player's soul. Like, you have to give me your soul so I can like do X, Y, and Z. And you're like, no. And you defeat her. And so, part of the warrior's goal now is to also, because now we know about this permanent illness, is to try and convince the people that you fight with in the Arcadian
Right.
to no longer fight. You're trying to convince them to retire.
Uh-oh.
Dancing Green was just like, absolutely. I actually hate parties.
I actually hate parties.
I felt like I had to, but really I've just been wanting to retire and just needed the push, and this is great. Thank you. And then Sugar Wright's like, fuck my canvas, my art. No. Oh well, it's fine. I'll just find another way to do graffiti work. It's fine.
Yeah, that's I appreciate that.
The third boss is actually someone from the previous tier. And it turns out he's actually best friends with the sister who you fought, who had gone missing.
Mm-hmm.
His best friend is her boyfriend.
Oh.
So the sister, the guy who is definitely a heel performance-wise, but loves kittens and is actually a big softie. So, and sister's boyfriend, all of a trio. So, you tell the guy who is a heel that, like, hey, like you can't do this. You are definitely going to be sick if you do this anymore. Then it's gonna be really bad. And so he decides to go. He was picked up by the president as an orphan,
Right.
and so he decides to go and talk to the president directly, who tells him that everybody's lying. So what does he do? He goes crazy. He like uses all of like the monster souls that he has, right? And then he actually just like transforms into a giant abomination, and he's the third fight.
Oh. And the fourth one's not here yet, right?
Getting to the fourth one.
Okay, please continue.
I did just defeat the. I just did recently finish the third fight, which was really hard and also had me screaming. It's extremely fast paced and says "fuck you" to everybody. It's I'm not gonna say it's so it's mechanically not a hard fight, except for all the mechanics are extremely fast.
Right.
And if you do not execute the mechanics correctly, you will not have enough damage to defeat the boss.
Right.
And that is also tripping up statics and PF.
Oh, I understand.
Because you can see the whole fight, but if you don't execute mechanics correctly, you will not clear.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
It is not both the second fight and the third fight are not fights you can just drag a person through. And that's causing some friction within the raiding community.
Oh, everybody's got to be able to play the game. No.
Everybody has to be able to play the game.
Ooh.
So the last fight, the Brute Abominator just turned into a giant abomination and then died. His best friend and roommate is also the former current we're in a weird situationship love thing with Black Cat's older sister who went missing.
Mm-hmm.
But we managed to corner her and get her back and convince her to join the team. And so now we go to fight. We go to try and get this new guy who is, you know how the Japanese have like the perfect representation of just like American cowboy type figures?
Yes.
He's that.
Of course. As a white fellow? Well,
yeah, and definitely has a white voice actor. And none of us were prepared for the deep Southern accent coming through. Because the cutscenes aren't voice acted, but the fights are voice acted. So all of a sudden we get in there and he's just like, I do love toying with my prey. Because his monster is actually Fenrir, which is a giant, important wolf-like creature of lots of power in the Final Fantasy universe. So he is a wolf boy, but his form also looks suspiciously Gundam-like. It looks like a cross between Gundam, Xenoblade, Digimon, Metal Garurumon.
What's the
Digimon folks?
What's this boss's name?
Oh my god! Now that you said it, I'm gonna have to look it up, and I'm so mad. Okay, so fun thing that happens when you have ADHD is somebody calls you out on a what's a name, and you're like, oh, it just doesn't exist anymore.
Oh no, I understand. I apologize.
In my head.
I apologize. I was waiting for the name to kind of appear, but it had been so long since you started talking about him that I was like, all right, well, we're now throwing around a lot of
okay. His stage name is Howling Blade.
Okay.
His voice though took everybody off guard. Nobody was expecting it.
Let's see. I appreciate people trying to figure this out. But yes, Howling Blade is his name, and now
yes.
I am invested in who the voice actor is, since this was like a thing apparently. So
yeah, it's a thing. Like actually, everybody is just like, oh. Fantastic voice acting, very unexpected. The best part is like there was a lot of moments too where you have like the lone tear going down his face as you know he's watching, he's navigating his best friend's lost, and then reunited with the love of his life. Like so many tears, like actually coming down this manly man's face. Speaking of like comic like moments about and sub narratives around masculinity, this is definitely one of them, and that is paired with wrestling and like a soap opera storyline is absolutely hysterical to me. What has a more soap opera storyline, wrestling or soap operas? Please respond.
It's wrestling. It's wrestling.
I don't know. Have you seen Guiding Light?
The fact that wrestling can always result in violence at any time. It just I think I don't know. I can't. If you start watching wrestling now, you'd understand what I mean. There's such a wildly varying amount of characters now that like it now can do the soap opera thing, almost 1-to-1, and I think they're about 1-to-1. For a while, it wasn't like that, but now it is officially wrestling.
I'm pretty sure they're 1-to-1.
Traditional soap operas are now 1-to-1.
Yeah. So, part of getting him is you have to like basically publicly con him into an agreement to fight you and to retire if we win. And so then we have the fight, and so that's the fourth fight is him.
I mean, is it a difficult fight?
Oh yeah, no, it's gonna be ass. I'm going in to learn it today in like an hour.
Oh, okay, that's what you're doing. Oh, that's your plan for the day is to get your ass beat by this new boss, Howling Green.
Yeah.
Oh, then we have the task.
Howling Blade. I'm gonna go fight the Howling Blade today.
Okay, so we're gonna fight
and
Howling
cry.
Blade. Okay, and get beaten up. That's fine. I like looking at you.
Yeah, no. I know the fight is really fast, and I'm gonna be because the fourth fight in the tier is always the hardest. It takes the longest to get through, so I'm not expecting to beat this one for a while. But when I tell you the second fight of this tier took me, what, like 10 to 12 days to beat?
It was
just that.
It was about 10 days of me kind of lurking and then looking at everyone get blown up by various calamity. So yes.
Yeah, Aaron's been watching me go through the new raid tier in my Final Fantasy server. Which, by the way, we're always recruiting new members. We're on Cactar, which, by the way, is winning the Cosmic Exploration contest. That's another. I promise I'll be done with Final Fantasy after this one. Listen, and we can talk about more important things like the French game and South of Midnight.
There is nothing more important than Final Fantasy to a Final Fantasy player in their bag. In real time. I'm sorry. I get why. I understand. It's cooking. There's so much happening.
Okay, so
go on.
This is like this patch, by the way, 7.2 is just going to be full of things, but they were very gracious and decided to space out every large thing by 3 to 4 weeks so that we could have a chance to do things. So 4 weeks after the Savage Raid tier dropped, they dropped Cosmic Exploration. Cosmic Exploration is for all of the crafters and gatherers and for people who want to level up their crafting and gathering classes. And so the idea is we're going to go create like places to live for people across the stars, while we're also exploring across the stars. The first place, so I don't know what any of the other places are. The first place is the moon. It's also a server by server crafting contest, crafting and gathering contest with phases where we are building up all of these living spaces in space. So like right now we are on the moon building like a working facility on the moon. And like, yeah, this patch so far, and my server is unhinged. And when I mean server, I mean globally. It's showing where every individual server is in progress of building up these areas.
Right.
And how do we build up these areas? We just do a lot of crafts. The amount of crafts and gathering done fills out this progress bar. There's these periodic like public events that happen that also contributes to the progress bar. Once the progress bar fills, there is a special once only event that everybody who was there at the time can participate in, and that when it's complete, that moves you to the next phase. So like one of those progresses is, building a really trippy looking like road system
Right.
so you can move across this area of the moon much faster. I'm using road in quotations because it's actually like a hoverboard with on rails. It's called the Cosmo Rail, but it's literally like if you've ever played a racing game and they have, or Mario Kart, this is great. And they have like those little multicolor rainbow arrows that then shoot you into the air at super speed. Imagine that with guardrails. And you're actually on a hoverboard. So roads use loosely. Yeah, so it's a lot of stuff like that, and it's very fun. Like I said, it's also a server by server contest. My server is beating Japan. All of Japan.
The country?
The Japanese servers, yeah.
Oh, the server. Okay, the server. Look. Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so there's regional data centers, right?
Oh,
So there's North America, which I'm in one of the 3 data centers that are under the North American Regional Data Center.
Right.
There's Europe, there's Oceania, which is Australia and the Pacific Island area.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Japan. And so Japan has, quite a bit of servers. Their biggest like crafting and gathering server is Tonberry. And when we had an event like this back in Shadowbringers, which was COVID, about the start of COVID,
Right.
we got beat by Tonberry. I will say that there was a significant nerf that happened when Animal Crossing New Horizons dropped. We were winning, and then we were not winning because we all disappeared to Animal Crossing.
So you're saying it was outside sabotage?
Oh, 100%. 100%. No, but like my server, Cactar, right now is wildly beating every other individual server globally. And when I mean individual, I mean, so there's 3 under North American Regional, right? There's 3 data centers. We're beating all of the servers in our region. There's like 8 servers per data center. So we are beating all of the North American data centers. We are beating, Oceania is not surprising because it's really new and it doesn't have that many people on it. But we're also beating Europe and we're beating Japan.
Huh. Oh, well then.
And not by a little bit, by like a lot of bit. We're like a full phase that like, we're almost a full half a phase above every region and every server. And in a couple more weeks, a new piece of content is coming out to level all of your battle classes. And that's called the Occult Crescent. So I need this shit to wrap up before that comes out.
You are so deeply in your bag right now. Like you're in like this.
Yeah,
is
and I am playing South of Midnight.
Oh, we got a little segue there.
I'm playing South of Midnight currently, and I have Claire Obscura, the French game, up after that.
Just waiting.
I'm about halfway through South of Midnight, which we can talk about.
All right, so we're talking about South of Midnight, and I don't know where to start because you're playing it now, so it's more fresh in your head. I played it, and then I played the Lord of Darkness, Last of Us 2. So now I need to go back through the darkness and retrieve the good vibes I got playing South of Midnight. Yeah, it was it was very black in a way that I had not seen in a video game before.
I haven't seen it in media outside of books before.
If you were to watch Sinners, it's the same. It's whenever I would
It's
say
on my list. I just found out about Sinners. I will watch. I just need it to be daylight, and I
Yeah.
need to find some way of obtaining it.
right.
But it's on my list. But I'm a coward, so it has to be during daylight hours.
So it's not a horror movie. It's a movie about black ownership of culture with vampires in it. I'm not saying to go see it at night. I'm saying is that it is not as much of a horror movie as much of a story about a situation.
Oh, sorry. Let me rephrase. It doesn't necessarily need to be a horror movie, but if it has a lot of stressful or dramatic elements and or some horror elements in it, because of the way my stress brain operates, it will use it as nightmare fuel.
Well, then you shouldn't watch the movie at all.
No. I can watch it. There just has to be several hours between me and going to bed. So that's why it's a daylight hours movie.
It's so interesting. I'm actually would like to know what you think about that then, because it's like, everything is so wound together. It's so closely tied together in terms of plot, in terms of imagery, in terms of horror culture, everything. So, I would like to see how your brain parses all of that out. But yeah, let us know. We will hold off.
I think it'll go really well because I'm also taking a music class right now that is also expressly examining music in the United States and music history in the United States up up until about the 1960s, with a few exceptions, specifically for making room for how marginalized identities impacted music currently.
Yeah,
So,
that
like-
is yeah,
Like Led Zeppelin.
yeah, that is a big part of Sinners.
Yeah.
All right. Well, like I said, what were you gonna say?
So like great content for that. But I'm about, I think I'm on chapter 7.
South of Midnight.
South of Mind. I finished I'm partway through. So I'm in the sawmill area, finding out about Lawrence past.
Okay. Laurent.
Laurent Baptiste. Laurent.
Yeah.
I remember it as a real Cajun name.
My man's got those waves, bro.
He got them waves.
I've never, like
Yeah.
I said before, there's a lot of black stuff I ain't never seen before in video games. Sinner and South of Midnight will cover you in a way that you are like. It is now like it's so popular that I'm excited for the thing. I'm excited for it to be become popular because then that just becomes amusing. I'm one of those people that if you show me the very best thing, then you can show me anything afterward. Like if I'm super, it's like some people when they see the best thing, they get very anxious about the next thing not being the best thing, and it has to drags down their enjoyment of then everything. I've described the internet, but I don't care if you've shown me something that's 15 out of 10, then I'm good. So now I'm here for like Tyler Perry's Southern Gothic movie, you know what I mean? Like I'm here for this nonsense. I'm here for the mediocre follow-ups. I'm here for the outsized public attention. I'm here for the shitty books. I'm here for the pornography. I'm here for all of the offshoots of having.
All I'm saying is I ain't seen waves like that. Like I did see an image of the I saw her on slick
You see,
waves. I'm like
yeah.
I ain't seen waves like that outside of porn. like
Listen, that's the point, and it's just so much. There's such a healthy respect for it. Almost, it comes. South of Midnight appears as something where, because Compulsion Games is French Canadian, so it was effectively a lot of white people listening to black people and not saying anything else in return, and that you do not see a lot of, where they had the black people said, this is how this looks here, this is how this goes here, and this is how we sound. And Compulsion just said, okay. That's it.
yeah, no, and the fact it's so regional too.
Yes.
Like it's so regional is what gets me. Like it's not just black. It's it's very very southern, and it's very specific areas of the South. And they're talking about, and it's a commentary also on the lives of those people who live in the South. Like so that like the game starts with a hurricane ravaging the area, right?
Right.
And people are getting ready to are preparing for the hurricane. They're either leaving or they're staying, getting shelter. But they're all there, and they're all moving around in different ways. But like the water is a hazard because it's toxic water, because of the way that hurricanes fuck up, how hurricanes can impact the facilities in the area, and how all of that bleeds into the actual water. So like overrunning the sewage system, and now there's just raw sewage water everywhere.
Right.
How the flooding of the pig farm means that there is now one, piles of just dead animals,
Yes.
and two, like it's again polluting the water.
Yes.
Like there's like pig feces and the fertilizer,
Mm-hmm.
because they turn the feces into fertilizer.
That even in the wake of it being a clear fairy tale, it's still very much rooted in the region and a regional problem, which is the hurricane and what the hurricane does. Even catfish refuses to help you because you're not going through that nasty water. He's a catfish bottom feeder. He's not sifting through.
Catfish is like, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. That water is full of pig shit. Absolutely not. I'll meet you on the other side. Absolutely not.
Well, and also part of the reason that the houses were able to get swept away is because they're actually trailer homes. And people think of trailer homes as like houses on wheels, and that's not what a trailer home is anymore. Like they're actually they are short. They're manufactured homes that are meant for short-term living that don't have a foundation. So they can just get upped and swept away. And that's what happened. Upped and swept away. They're not rooted to the ground. They don't have a foundation in the ground.
Right.
You can literally that house was put on a trailer and set down.
Mm-hmm. A little bit off the ground, but not enough to to save itself during a hurricane.
Exactly. And so, and it was also showing about the foreclosures and what so part of the reason too that area is even called the Black Belt is because that soil that was so rich for plantation use, and now all the plantation use and the farming stripped all the nutrients out of the soil, but it left the the soil is full of like this black clay. It's a very used to be nutrient dense, but black clay in the ground, and it created, and it's, you know, this whole belt across the southern part of a part the southern part of the United States, through Mississippi, through Louisiana, through Georgia, and it also has all the swamplands too, the swamplands and marshes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was not. If you had told me that a white French Canadian company had been doing that, would note those details. And also just some of the details, they made sure that the animals that they were showing, down to the birds, were the correct birds for the region. This is probably one of the most respectful and well researched games I had seen. I did because I was streaming it for some folks in a Discord server, and there are some parts where they're like, they had grown up in a very predominantly black town, so there was some stuff too where they had grown up with, like, they had grown up with like seeing the patchwork rag dolls, like the patchwork dolls.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Oh, that's a very Southern thing." And I was like, "That's a black Southern thing." They're like, "I knew a lot of white people with those." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And I was just like, and they're just like, "I wonder how they got them." And I'm like, "I'm gonna let you think about that for a minute." And then they're like, "Oh, oh, oh." Yep, there you go. You found it. It was there were some moments where I was like, where I was streaming the game like that was happening. I find them very funny. Just a little bit of information that you didn't know. I was not expecting to hear Haints.
Yeah, I know that things like that are it's wild.
I was like, what? Yeah, hearing the Haints are out to get people, and I was like,
Yep.
had a moment of shock. I was like, oh, we fighting Haints?
Mm-hmm.
We are directly fighting Haints.
Yep. They've saying they've what else popped up? We got Haints. We got Hug and Molly, Rougarou. Oh my God! And it's funny to read about all this stuff because I'm a Yankee, so I know this stuff loosely, but like this is so deeply regional. It's not just Southern because there's so many different types of Southern. That's one thing I've learned. There are lots of different.
Well,
types
and they actually show different kinds of Southern in the area, because Georgia Southern's not the same as Louisiana Southern,
Right.
which isn't the same as Mississippi Southern or Alabama Southern. But they really tied all of those areas into one, and even naming it Chickasaw County. Do you know how many Chickasaw counties there are?
There are a lot.
There's definitely more than two. In a town called Prospero. So, they picked like real generic, names, but also like connected. I saw them large peaches from the Benji tree, and I'm like, that's Georgia. Them peaches is that's Georgia. The giant peaches falling around the swamp.
Were those peaches?
Yeah. Those were peaches. They were massive peaches. And, the difference between ghosts and Haints, and the ghost weavers of the past, showing how, teaching like Hazel how to use the weaving powers, but through those visions. And those visions are a freed person helping other slaves escape with their families,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing. But it wasn't even just that; it was through the caves and through the marshes, through the swamps.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like that. Like, yes, it's showing it through magic, but I was like, this is a magical experience.
Right. And
The magical experience isn't the magic of it even. It was just such a very strong feeling. And it just felt so respectful.
right. I think that's the bit there. It's one of the things where like I always like if I say respectful, and then somebody would be like, well, what do you think is an example of a disrespectful Black experience? And I would say Resident Evil
Yes.
5. Resident Evil 5.
Oh God.
Right. Like
Please.
Resident Evil 5, and it's like so when you call it racist online, you attract a lot of flies and trolls. But the better word for it is racist. But if you do not want to get into a fist fight with 14 men on the internet, you can say it's disrespectful. Because now that South of Midnight has given us a good example of what respecting Black culture looks like in for your medium, something like Resident Evil 5 is a good example of disrespectful, where they're just kind of yada-yadaing Africa, and then I'm not even getting the details of it, but yes, there's a lot of yada-yadaing of the African continent in Resident Evil.
I actually really appreciated and loved the how they showed how they incorporated voodoo or voodoo practices
Yes.
into the game in just a way that I felt really encapsulated it.
Right. We're
Because
gonna. Oh, go on. No, go on.
Well, like especially with like Crouton. So if you control Crouton and you turn and you look at Hazel, Hazel is like weaving in air the strings that control Crouton. She also has Crouton's permission. And Crouton is also there to protect her and to help her. And that's there's a lot of it just felt like a lot of intention. Just like really trying to make sure it's a thoughtful and intended like observation.
Yeah. One thing I heard a criticism that I feel like was is a kind of like a fundamental misunderstanding of the story was people were not understanding why Hazel wasn't outright fixing everything. So Hazel was making the path to healing clear, but not fixing anyone's anything. Just making their issues clear and removing some of the mist around it. And people were like, "Why isn't Hazel fixing anything?" And it's kind of Hazel's a social.
What do you mean?
Hazel,
that's so.
Listen, I'm just saying is that it was a consistent issue that people had was that they fundamentally misunderstood what a weaver was and what a social worker does, and in no way is Hazel supposed to fix anyone. In the same way, no way her mom can fix anyone. Her mom is supposed to know and slightly course correct as much as possible, but there's not much her mom can do besides know and then deal with the aftermath of it. And that's kind of the rub of Hazel as a weaver, is she is clearing the path, but ultimately she can't. At least everyone who's harmed, everyone who's traumatized has to fix it themselves, get it together themselves. It's still, the healing journey is still theirs. And it's like, it's just one of those things where I'm like, now to be clear, I think a lot of criticism of South of Midnight and is very much rooted in the fact that when a story is not about a white man to people, they don't understand that this person is a human. Like the human nuances of South of Midnight is lost because you're playing as a Black woman.
It's just such a weird thing because but Hazel is fixing things. Like I don't understand.
What they're saying is they want Hazel to have eradicated any and all sources of discomfort almost like memory wipe, which is
But
not that's not fixing
that's
anything.
not fixing.
I agree, but like I said, there is a fundamental misunderstanding of character motivations when the characters are not white men. There,
Like what like the core of what she is doing is letting them get to the is I'm not going to say fixing the trauma. That's not what she is doing. But what she is doing is she is removing the blockage that prevents you
right.
from healing from trauma.
Yes.
And so she is spiritually fixing the spiritual blockage of trauma, which is a spiritual practice within like that is what weavers do
Yes.
on a spiritual level within African spirit, like African based spirituality.
Yes.
Like I'm just sitting here like, what? I don't, huh? And I remember bitches are atheists. But but like that's what she's doing. She's like she is doing the spiritual practice of unblocking, of removing the block that is preventing someone from healing from trauma. And in some cases, what needs healing from trauma can't be seen because it's been hidden within the community for so long. But that doesn't mean that it's gone, which is another messaging that I feel like the game is saying. Like, all those hidden secrets aren't actually hidden. Like, to give an example, everybody knows about Two Toe Tom, right?
Right.
Two Toe Tom is a very large gator, right?
Right.
But I am sure that the representation of Tom that the people see isn't the same representation of Tom that Hazel sees.
Right.
Right? Like those are two different things.
Yeah.
But what she is doing, because, Tom is in a bad state, by helping fix Tom, Tom's not going to go randomly attacking people anymore.
Right. Which is the rub.
He's not even dead.
No, yeah, Tom is not dead. Tom is just off. He's just off. He's just less dangerous because he's been sorted a little bit. He's sorting himself out. But that's the point. That's the point, yes. But like I said, all of these facets are lost. It is funny enough on the other side, like I said, I was playing Last of Us. Everyone was appalled by the sheer amount of violence Abby and Ellie were able to engage in because they were two women. But that's it. And it's like, it's just whenever non-white men do something, everyone's like, why is this happening? Why is it happening? Like they were born 4 hours ago. And it is annoying. It is very frustrating to deal with because there's a very clear South of Midnight is a fairy tale. It's got a lot of details in its presentation, but the story itself is a fairy tale. It is not trying to swerve you in any way. It is it's an origin story. And yeah. I always wanted to ask someone from Louisiana directly because it looked like it had the same energy as Into the Spider-Verse for New Yorker. Because not the comic, like the actual Into the Spider-Verse first movie. Little Miles, the little animated one that Sony kind of like, the one that Sony made by accident. That one. And as a New Yorker, it had a shockingly strong representation of Brooklyn, New York and large there. And so it was like, oh, and a lot of details were in there. And I was like, oh, I see it. And a lot of New York is yada yada. That's why it's everyone's like yada yada Tim's, yada yada Fitted, yada yada Nas. And then they go away. It's kind of how it is. I get it. Don't mind it. But like, so I was just wondering, I almost want to know, like, how does this look to someone who's like from the region? Because we know and we appreciate, but we can't know. And it's gotta, I know some people from Louisiana. I might actually have them say a few words, like record a few words and just let me know. Problem is, everyone I know from Louisiana who would appreciate it is not a gamer, so they would have to sit down and watch so they sit down and watch the game.
There's actually, so I looked in the accessibility settings, which there's a lot of them, by the way.
Oh yeah, no,
Um,
it's an accessibility monster. But please continue.
you can skip all combat altogether.
Yes.
You can also skip the chase scenes. And so
Yes.
if you want to, you can actually, and this is how I'm positing it to non-gamers, you can actually play the game in a way that you would just enjoy the story.
Right. Which
That's it.
which I think more narrative-based games need to have. It gets a little brave because you designed a game to be played, but like to be like, if you don't want to, this is fine. The Southern Midnight lets you curate it, even the incredible details, like even if you do want to engage in it, what does what, like enemy health levels, how much damage you do, how much health you lose, all that stuff. Like it lets you curate your experience if you want to engage in it. Otherwise, if not, you know what's funny is, and it's one thing I realized this. So one complaint about the game was that you fight the same way. You always walk into these arenas and you fight the monsters. And someone had pointed out that the reason why there's not fighting everywhere is because every house has blue paint. It's dense in that it allows you to traverse and let you know where to go, but blue paint keeps out haints. So the biggest, widest areas have the haints, and the reason why it's kind of samey is because the same areas would be where the haints are always going to be. They're never going to be in someone's house. They're never going to be on a main road because people have protected where they live from them, and it would be like big wide spaces. So it is, again, probably they're trying to focus on what they know is, AA games, focus on what you intend to do, don't go crazy. Yes, but also there is that detail that is like you will be fighting in the same areas.
That's also a real thing, by the way.
What, blue paint to yeah, I know.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. It's game design, but it's also actual it is often you'll see blue paint to ward off haints in Louisiana.
Do you know what I like?
What do you like?
You don't run in people's houses.
What'd you say?
You don't run in people's houses.
Oh yeah, you don't run in people's houses. Oh yeah, you don't run in people's houses.
You cannot run in people's houses.
Holy shit. Yeah.
It's like a home training. But also, it also forces you to look around the house slowly. Take your time.
Yeah, it's game design, but it also is home training. You do not go running through people's houses, even if nobody's in the house, even if you have an urgent mission. So
it's very funny. I'm just like laughing so hard at that. Yeah, and and depending on the person, like there's some porches you don't run on either. It's not all of them. There are some porches that you don't run on either, and I was laughing at that.
Southern Midnight is on Game Pass. It will be on Game Pass in perpetuity because Compulsion Games is owned by Microsoft. So it's one of those things where like certain Game Pass games I recommend because they are always going to be on Game Pass, like the Oblivion remaster, Skyrim, Bethesda games. They're always going to be on Game Pass, so you don't have to necessarily worry about those games. Some games cycle on and off like Netflix, but Southern Midnight will always be on Game Pass. I think it is worthwhile to try it, even if you don't play video games regularly. You can, in fact, change the game into the experience you desire. I've seen some people try to play it on super hard combat. Good luck to them. While the combat is enjoyable, it is not refined enough for me to be turning that shit all the way up to hard for funsies.
I might be playing it on Grand Weaver.
For what?
Kind of fun, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, I know. I like the combat is fun, but I don't know.
No, I mean, I like the challenge.
That's I mean, I do too.
There was actually only one fight I turned it down on, and it was early on, but I haven't had to turn it down since.
That's bold. I gotta kind of watch you play. You're sitting there playing that shit on super hard. I gotta see this. I gotta see this go down. So.
Well, I'm also trying to like challenge my brain and my reflexes.
Ooh. Then you'll really like French game. French game. French game is
I'm gonna
like
die because it's gonna be I know there's
so.
parrying.
So
And I
there are
am the
levels to it.
worst
You can
parrying.
dodge and it's fine. You can parry and get ambitious. So
Okay, so here's the thing. I am the world's worst person at parrying, but dodging, great. So the fact that this is why I'm able to do Grand Weaver is perfect dodges exist. I can do a perfect dodge like nobody's business. I cannot do a perfect parry.
that is very funny. That's very funny that I understand the difference between the two, but it's very funny.
Yeah, no, now you get it though, right?
I know.
Get
I
why I'm
understand.
like,
Well, I understand attacking someone's attack is not something that everyone's brain latches onto, and it's simple as that. Like you have to attacking someone's attack is strange versus dodging someone's attack. There's something about it. Like they're two separate actions, even if they are closely connected together. So by all means, I truly understand. And it's also the perfect dodge does so much when you get powered up. I don't know how far. Oh, you're a 7. It gets incredibly powerful the more you get powered up. So I understand.
yeah,
That's
no,
cool.
I am set in my head for perfect dodge. Also, I love the fact that you can possess an enemy with crouton.
Yes. And I will.
I'm just like, crouton, my beloved.
One thing I did because I like crouton so much is I turned up the damage a possessed enemy does because I just like the idea of crouton just ending people, like jumping on someone's head and ending the guy next. Like I just like. I like that in my head canon. Like once crouton gets on you, he hits you harder than everybody. Hit it harder than I could. He hits you harder than I could ever could because it's crouton. Like I just like that in my head. That if you were to give if crouton had the hands to throw, they would be heavy. That's all I'm saying. If he had them, they'd be heavy.
I love crouton so much.
I love crouton.
Apparently, crouton and I make the same gremlin noises as I've been told, and honestly, probably true. Since I do be making weird noises all the fucking time.
Nothing wrong with that. Means
Which,
you're
if
locked
you've
in.
played games with me or heard me play games, you know exactly what noises I'm making. I also appreciate that he just kind of he explodes into like weave magic with glee.
Listen, my
Like
favorite.
he's never mad about it.
Here's the deal. I think crouton in some way knows that he doesn't necessarily need to be here. Like it's one of those things where it's like he's alive, but that's magic. So my man's having a time of it. Like I like the idea that he's happy because he's alive because he really shouldn't be, and it's just all magic. And it's like his like he's protecting his owner and all that. Like it's just the joy he takes in all of his existence is really infectious. Which is why I buffed his damage because you know what? Powerbomb that guy, crouton. You've earned this. You've earned that.
Dave, the first upgrade, because so I found that I have a floof surplus, and I've also found optional fights.
Yes.
And so I'm like, I'm getting all the upgrades, like regardless, like they're all happening, right? But every crouton available upgrade, that's the first one that happens.
Always, you got power the homie up. Yeah, you got power the homie up. When you do New Game Plus, it has a New Game Plus where you have all the powers you would have in that level maxed out when you come back around the next time you beat the game. So it's a really good incentive to. I was working on going through and getting all of the floof, 100%ing the game, but it requires a certain amount of combat grinding and also bombarded by the. This is the only problem. Years ago, you said have fun while playing video games, and I took that to heart because I love you very much. And the worst thing about that, is the fact that all of the games come out from February to May. And it is significantly worse than any fall season I've ever experienced in my life. And it's every year. Between March and May.
I'm dying.
Between March and May, there are at least 6 viable games that come out. 6. Not to mention the extra 8, the remasters, the sneaky games that come out, the games, the personal interest games, the games you might hear about, the sudden hype games like French game out of nowhere, where it's like, oh, this is in fact the best RPG turn-based RPG we've played in years. So it's like, you've ruined me.
That there is like this 3-week period between like the end of March into April where I'm just screaming.
Yeah.
Every year, I'm just screaming.
It's longer.
Here we are. Here we are.
It's not that. It isn't.
We're
that,
here.
It isn't that short. Also, you keep saying it's not 3 weeks.
Oh, no. So
2.5 months.
I say it that way. But what I'm saying is, from February to May, right? All these games come out. There's a 3-week period where the bulk of those games come out. Like they're still coming out like throughout the month, but there is like a 3-week period where it's like they are punching games into your face. Yeah. Like they're all back to back. And I'm just like,
and it's so disruptive. It's super disruptive. Like there are shit like, and the problem is, and I brought this up, is that if you're a certain age, then you're aware of about 30 years of gaming. It's compressed into one place. So it's like, so you get Assassin's Creed, and you get it, you make the bigots mad, sensational. And then what came out of nowhere? Oh, right. The same week that French game came out, the Oblivion remaster came out. And the Oblivion remaster is quite good for somebody who's never played Oblivion before, like myself. There is the Capcom Second Fighting collection coming out in a week or two with like Capcom vs. SNK and Power Stone. And then after that, there is a remaster of Onimusha 2, which again, these things don't have any relevance unless you were there for it, but you're going to play Onimusha 2 if you were there for it. There was a really interesting survival horror puzzle game made by I think it was a small team but expanded. It's a game called Post Trauma. Like it markets itself as like Silent Hill survival horror, but it's actually a straight puzzle game and one of the best ones ever made. And it's just like, and these games come out when the games are coming out come out, and then there are games that you don't expect to exist to be good, like French game. I didn't think it was going to be that great, and then there are complete surprises like Oblivion. There are subtle things. There is a puzzle. There is a point-and-click adventure game starring a black scientist lady. It's just a lady with an afro. It's like classic Grim Fandango, but it's just a black lady on another planet doing point-and-click stuff. Classic shooters, remakes of like cave shooters and so on come out, and it's just like untenable. And then they have the spring sale. And this is the worst thing. So I grew up when games were $89.99, and I know they're pushing back up, but I grew up when games were $89.99, and you go to Toys R Us and you get the ticket, and you bring the ticket to the dude, and they give you the money, give him the money to give you a game. Like, I remember that. So now my brain is, I'm conditioned because I was raised on games being $100 and only being able to get like 2 for Christmas. And like I get like 2 for Christmas.
We're coming back.
We're going back to it. But and the thing about it is that, and listen, it's 2 things. It's 2 things about it. Argue with corporations, yell, throw rocks, throw a fit. They're greedy monoliths of greed and consumption. Go get them. Go get them. Eat them up. Get online. Rah. However, also, most games aren't max price. As a person who buys almost exclusively AA games and indie games, the screeching and the fist fighting about the price of top-end games keeps the cost of indie games down because they're terrified of not selling because they're on slim margins anyway, so they come in super low. So both of these things are true. Keep yelling. Oh yeah, so you heard Microsoft had to put the price up of everything.
Yeah, because of fucking tariffs.
Yeah.
Sorry, Canada is right there. I don't know if you know, Microsoft is right here in Seattle. Do you know what Vancouver, BC is, which has Microsoft and does Microsoft products? 2 hours away, bud.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Midwest came way out.
It flew out. It did. It flew out of both nostrils. It's fine. You want to take a minute to get yourself together, you can. You take a minute to get yourself together. Because you take your moment. I'll get back to my original point, which was that as I see sales happen, and my brain will not allow me to not at least kick the tires on a game that I said I was going to get. And you say flipping shit. Like, oh, I'll get it when it's $5. And then it is $5. And then your brain is sitting there with his arms folded, looking at you, looking at the thing. It's like, what are you going to do? You said you were going to check it out when it's $5. Well, look at it. It's $3.99, but $3.99.
$3.99.
And then you're sitting there with 4 or 5 extra games for $20 because they're all $2 and $3.
And then the spring sales hit.
That is a spring sale. The spring sales do that. They make the games cheap enough for you to look at when you were comfortable ignoring them because you make some arbitrary number in your head. What?
So the funny thing is, especially with smaller games, what I found is they release the game and then there's like a spring sale pre-funk, like a post. It's like a post-Christmas pre-spring pre-funk, and then the spring sale hits. And as you get further in the spring sale, the price just keeps dropping.
Yes. There is a game called Steel Seed. It is about a black lady who was turned into a robot, stealth action, and it just came in. It's coming in low, and it just seems to be getting low. It just came out, and I'm just like, it came out on sale, and I'm like, it's just gonna keep going down in price, and it's just like it's gonna start following me around because I'm looking at it, it's like $40. I was like, I don't want to pay $40 for it. It's $30 upon release. And then I'm going to say something stupid like, yeah, it's like $9.99. It'll be $9.99 by like July. And this is kind of the ecosystem underneath major AAA game publishing is like games are flying around super cheap, and games are flying around representing several decades of gaming simultaneously. The spiritual successors, the remakes, the remasters, the updates to things of value, things that are of unique personal value to you. And it's just like it's just a mess. So it's like, and this is a product of you telling me to have fun playing video games. So I wasn't having fun before, but I was saving so much more money. I was ignoring games for months on end. I would buy like 3 out of the 3 games in the fall or whatever. Ignore most of the other games, and then I was good. Now you're like
me, where you're front loaded, and then by the time fall hits, you're like, nothing good better come out.
Oh,
and then something really good comes out, but it's like a big enough game that you can just ignore it.
Yeah.
Or you pick your one fall game, and that fall game carries you through.
It's so true. I maintain fall doesn't have as many games as spring, and I can't tell whether it's because spring games avoid the fall monoliths, and it's become a bit of a practice. But either way, fall does not have nearly as many viable game releases.
Fall. So what I find is fall is when like the big money games come out.
Yeah. And then
or like just in general, really large games come out. Like Veilguard came out at like October, and it was great because that's a 200-hour game for me. And that's a 200-hour game that carried me all the way through the holidays.
Also, they put that shit on PSN, so people were trying that shit for free. And the fucking wave of people like, what the fuck were you guys talking about? This shit wasn't that bad. It's actually kind of fun. You guys told me not to buy it. Fuck. I am so frustrated.
Okay, so while I am frustrated and angry, I am actually really glad that they did that, and I think that was a strategic choice to do.
Oh, it was absolutely intentional, and it was a very sound idea. But it's just like so much gets ruined.
No, it's rage-inducing.
So much gets ruined by the bigot hordes yelling about a thing, and then some people were. And the thing about it is, and I say this all the time, every Dragon Age game is the same. They're 7 out of 10 games unless they deeply resonate with you, and then they're 10 out of 10. That's it. All 4 of them are the same way that way. Veilguard is no different. And as people are like, I really, really love this, man. And some people are like, oh, that's all right. That's cool. Not as bad as you guys said, but that's cool. Dragon Age! Fucking Dragon Age! Fuck! That's it. 7 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. Based on personal preference and what you feel about a particular story you're involved in. That's it. Game got ran over the coals. And also, they had the audacity to say that 1.5 million people served is too small of a number when all these other games are selling. South of Midnight touched 1 million people, and they're like, yeah. French game touched 1 million people. They're like, yeah. The president of France is like, yeah. Electronic Arts is 1.5 million. Like, yeah, this is not meeting sales expectations. So we're going to dissolve the team that created Veilguard and use them to in Mass Effect and other Electronic Arts projects. And then they collapse fucking the Titanfall game. All of them. So then there's 500 people that got laid off there. Fuck.
Which is wild because Titanfall is like, I don't know when it got a resurgence, but it did. And like bitches were like going bonkers for it.
Homie, we didn't even want Apex Legends. We just want to play more Titanfall. That's what everybody's been saying. Please make more Titanfall. They made Apex Legends. We said make more Titanfall. Somebody hacked the Titanfall servers in Titanfall 2 to make the game inoperable because they just wanted Titanfall 3. They're like, please listen to us. We will blow up this orphanage. We will blow up this orphanage.
Okay, but what if we do another FIFA game?
Holy shit. And then they did, and then they said they were doing a Titanfall
and then they
game.
did, and it didn't perform at all. Like FIFA did not perform at all. I'm sorry, I will never stop. So that's one of the things that it's one of those things where I'm like, I refuse to let it die because FIFA is one of the bread and butter games, right? This is like Call of Duty not performing. It's not performing. Your bread and butter game is not performing. And also part of it is, one, line isn't going to go up. Two, bitches want Titanfall.
Maybe people just want to play Titanfall. It is super common. And it's very funny how they've avoided Titanfall. And now that because they first they were going to do, there was a Titanfall single player game that got canceled. And then there was an extraction shooter that got canceled. And it's just like you can, and it's the nature of American corporations to not understand exactly how their money is being made. I get it. But man, there is such a disconnect between the games that are selling. And it's like, it's now getting resounding. These are resounding public displays. Folks are all over French game. It resonates, but also the timing is perfect. They're like, please, just give us what we'd like to play.
So it's very strange to me because they are actively listening to communities for all of the wrong things and all of the wrong reasons.
Yes.
So they're listening to, like, people are like, I'm not playing your game because it's a DEI game.
Yes.
Fuck your DEI. And they're like, oh no, that's the reason our sales are going down. But then if they're not looking at the fact that, one, people don't have money, two, these people who are saying it's a DEI game and are going to play their game anyway don't like EA and aren't going to play any EA game, period,
game
ever.
at all.
Any EA game. They don't like EA. EA has the worst reputation in all of history, and I don't understand why EA does not understand that. I don't even think it's deserved at this point. Like, I'm sitting here like, okay, well, EA has not been great and is not great. Ubisoft is right there.
Yeah, people were doing the same thing with Assassin's Creed Shadows. They were sitting there yelling about it, and yeah, you were, and then you got these. The bigots don't spend their money anyway.
They're not spending the money.
They're
you know
trying
what they're spending
to,
their money. Do you know what they're spending their money on? They're spending their name on feminist gotcha titty game. They
are saying they do spend their money on the things that they don't want to. They don't want us to know they're spending their money.
Right, like I just. Like, that's what they're not buying the game. So so first off, you're listening to not your actual community. Like, you're not listening to the people who are playing your games and are not, and who are going to spend their money on your games. You're trying to listen to people who aren't spending money on your company. And I just don't, you want to listen to the people who are spending money on your fucking company.
Also, you might want to have regular, reasonable sales ideals and quarterly goals, because the problem is
right, like, number not always gonna go up. And also, you have to understand, so who is your market? What are their expenses? That's part of market research.
Yep.
It's a basic component of market research.
Yeah.
Bitches ain't got no money right now. We ain't got money.
Right. So for you to get 1.5 million people playing queer ass Veilguard. Fucking victory. I understand Inquisition sold like 12. I understand Inquisition sold 12 million copies, but if you listen to those 12 million people, a lot of those people bounced off the game. There's no, given how Dragon Age sold, it was like 2 million, like it was like 2 million, 2 million, 12 million, and then 1.5 million or something like that. So the 12 million is the outlier. It can no longer be the rule, especially if you look at the data. A lot of people didn't finish Inquisition because that game was walk fucking tastic. So a lot of people own it. Very few people finished it. And it's an outlier with the rest of how you've sold your game. This is basic data. This is a 6-line Google document here. This is a 6-line Google document that I would have to present to like multi-billion-dollar corporation to be like, hey, don't get your hopes up about Veilguard. Have you seen Veilguard? Do you know who Trick Weeks is? You guys need to think very long and hard about what you're doing and how this is going to work and lower the bar, because then we have things like a Metaphor Refantanzio, sold 2 million copies. Everyone is dancing in the street. Atlas gave everybody a raise. Everyone who worked on the game got a bonus. Yeah. So it's just...
That's another game I have to play, and I was like,
yeah, I'm gonna play that after I play French game. I think
yes, same. That is also my trajectory.
Oh my god. We've known each other too long.
We have, oh my god, our schedules have lined up. It's amazing. Our schedules never line up.
That's actually kind of true. Yeah,
we can talk about the same games for once.
At the same time. That's crazy.
Oh my god, we need a sound effect.
Oh, yeah, let me put the air horns in here. We gotta get some air horns.
Why do we not have Jamaican air horns?
Because I'll admit that I'm derelict in my duty. Like, I won't lie to you. I'm derelict. Also, these are post-processing things. I need like an in time soundboard, and I'll own that. Also, shout outs to commercials on YouTube for like 2-second sound effects. Like, we are now through the looking glass, and we are now on the other side of it and building property. Like we can't. Like, you can't, like, it's just, that's crazy. Anyway, I was trying air horns. The moment has passed. We're playing the same games. I'm going to put it in post-processor. It's just going to be air horns playing in the middle of my sentence very unnaturally, but I don't give a shit. We're playing the same games for now 3 games in a row. Yeah, they're announcing the Edge of Fate, which is the next major Destiny DLC, and I am on the fence, not for any reason other than I think my time is up. Like, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. I've been playing it up to this point, but I'm like...
Does this mean Final Fantasy time?
I don't know if I want to grind another game. Like, I realize I like treating my games like books. Like, I like to play a game, and I like to sit there and just...
Congratulations! You can play Final Fantasy like that.
I mean, here's the deal. If you feel like hard carrying someone who's not necessarily involved in the meta or anything,
Aaron, I literally I do that every day.
I know, but like, there's a limit to how much carrying one can do.
No, casual content is literally just dragging bodies across. The game is designed explicitly to be played casually or hardcore. You can play it to whatever degree you want, actually.
Well, what do we do about my crippling perfectionism?
You'll figure it out. There is a spot for everybody.
Because I don't want to get destroyed in a haze of confusion. Because then I'm like, why am I here? Like, why?
So first off, the game actually does a much better job of teaching you how to play. 2, you have me as a resource to also teach you how to play. 3, it's an actual narrative first MMO. It is story first, and then what I do second. Like, story first, MMO second. They even describe it as predominantly being a Final Fantasy game first and foremost. So there's lore in everything. I know you love lore. I think your biggest trip up is gonna be following the lore everywhere.
Yeah, that is why I'm here. That's one of the things about Destiny that kills me is the lore is so good, but I think the stories that they're telling have now outstripped the game. And it happens sometimes where like the thing you're doing in the game and the story that they're telling are two separate stories. Like they're stories of people who have hands and not guns. You see what I'm saying? Like we're now at that point where it's like there's really very little reason for me to be getting all the smoke now. Like there's a point where I put the gun away and I just do the thing where you just run around with two hands, and I now engage a different game or tell a different story. So, we'll see. I might try Final Fantasy. I should try Final Fantasy. I still am gonna try Final Fantasy, but
You just need to try it. If you don't like it, that's fine.
there's no
but you
chance.
just
There's no
need to
chance of me not. There's no
try.
chance of me not liking it at all. It literally is a concern over time and perfectionism. Because then if I play, then I'm gonna want to become somewhat useful, and being playfully useless makes my ancestors weep when I am.
Yeah,
when I'm
you
useless.
literally don't have to be useful at all.
I know my ancestors, they weep
Your
though.
your presence is useful
I
because I'm a small business owner.
I appreciate you, and I mean, can I like work in your shop like an anime? That'd be cool. Like I just don't do nothing and work in your small business. I just work in the shop, making sandwiches and the meat buns. But I digress, and we digress. I don't think there is any more to add. Get your sorry, games are more expensive. There's a clear reason for that. Needn't get into it because we were trying to wrap up the show so Bacon can go raid and I can go watch. Go see Sinners. If you haven't, if you're listening, I'm giving it one solid month before we bring on Roe and we go spoiler heavy. But I'm giving it a month because it's been 3 weeks and there are still black people who are like, oh, I just saw Sinners, and y'all were right. And since we're still here on week 3, I've seen it 3 times. Since we're there, I'm going to give everyone another week. That'll be a month. Enjoy games. Have fun. Beware of March. Beware of April. Beware of May. Fun isn't free. It's like a monkey's paw. I said, hey, Bacon, I'm really enjoying all these games. I really appreciate you putting me on to just expanding my horizons and trying all these different games. Then one of the fingers curled in. Like, what's that sound? What was that? Nothing, I guess. It's nothing.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. All right, everybody.
Don't worry about it.
We will catch you guys later. And have a pleasant day.
Go ahead, stand up, stand up, stand up.